Thanks for being here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, posting of the colors, and the singing of the national anthem by Sergeant First Class Jody Manford.
Colors. Attention. Hut. Word. Pose. Word. March. Colors. Up. Preset. Pumps.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Or pumps.
Chaplain Josh Machenko will now lead us in invocation.
If you will, please bow with me. Almighty God, thank you for the watchful care and the purposeful development that you invest in us. Thank you for placing around us people who care for and teach us, and for laying before us the chance to do good, to be a part of something great. Today we celebrate the promotion of our fellow airman, Lieutenant Colonel Gregory Kuzma, to Colonel, and ask your blessing in the face of the challenges ahead. Be with his entire family on this special day, his wife Jordan, their children Finn, Soren, and Arlen, his parents Beverly and Myron, and his brother Scott, and his other parents Susan and Pete, and all those he serves with. Bless his work in the struggle for liberty and peace. Guide his hands in developing warriors and in the application of force. Lead their steps in the path of greatness in keeping with the legacy of our Air Force and our great nation. We ask, Lord, that you help Colonel Kuzma engaged in his new responsibilities with confidence and resolve, and to fulfill his new expectations with distinction. These things I pray in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Jacob. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce the official party. The presiding official today is Colonel Mark B. McCullen, retired. The honoree is Lieutenant Colonel Frederick Kuzma. I would also like to welcome several distinguished guests that are with us today. As appropriate, please hold your applause until the end of all introductions. Lieutenant Colonel Kuzma's wife, Mrs. Jordan Kuzma, and their children, Finn, Soren, and Arwen. Lieutenant Colonel Kuzma's mother, Mrs. Beverly Kuzma. His father-in-law, Mr. Pete Jacobson. His mother-in-law, Mrs. Susan Jacobson. And his brother, Mr. Scott Kuzma. Also with us is Brigadier General Eric C. Novak, Mobilization Assistant to the 20th Air Force Global Strike Command. And our Vice Wing Commander, Colonel Jeffrey Armentrout. And finally, to all the colonels, directors, commanders, chiefs, friends, co-workers, and associates, welcome. We are glad you came to observe this special occasion. Your presence here is greatly appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal. Attention to orders. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Executive Order 16 January 1969, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 2nd Oak Fleet Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel Gregory M. Kuzma for meritorious service from 6 June 2015 to 12 July 2018. Lieutenant Colonel Gregory M. Kuzma distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Deputy Director of Inspections, 302nd Airlift Wing, Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado. During this period, Colonel Kuzma's effort increased the Inspector General's presence across the wing by over 60% and improved the Air Force inspection systems culture for over 1,350 airmen. His efforts resulted in the effective rating in all 4 major rated areas in the 2016 Union Effectiveness Inspection Capstone event. In addition, Colonel Kuzma deployed in support of Hurricane Irma relief in 2017 and oversaw the operational recovery of Homestead Air Reserve Base's logistics capacity as commander of 220 airmen in the aerial port and logistics readiness squadrons. His aerial port supported 82 missions for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Department of Defense, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Task Force, and other government agencies on 8 different aircraft types, moving 1,000 passengers, 79,000 pounds of mobility bags, and 844 short tons of cargo over 10 days without incident. The distinguished accomplishments of Colonel Kuzma reflects great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Given by my hand, Colonel James R. DeVere, United States Air Force, Commander, 302nd Airlift Wing.
I've had the pleasure to know Greg since something like March of 2006 or something like that. I hired him as an IMA to work with our Air Force element. There's 2 Air Force officers, all IMAs, who worked as advisors to there was an Army Reserve Division, the 75th Division in Houston, training National Guard and Army Reserve soldiers. And I was the director of the element at that time. I was desperate need of logging, and Greg was the first one that applied. I said, well, he's enough to do that, I'll hire him. And things have progressed mightily since then. There's a point to this joke I want to tell you, and I hope I don't offend too many sensibilities. Whenever I was first lieutenant, there's a colonel that told me a story about 3 Vietnam veterans that were sitting in the VFW bar drinking. There was a soldier, there's a Marine, and there's an airman. They were talking about the toughest guy they saw over in Vietnam. The soldier said, you know, toughest guy I saw in Vietnam, a buddy of mine, we were in a fight. He took a round right through his forehead, got his bandana and wrapped around his head, and he finished emptied his clip before he died. The Marine said, yeah, I think the toughest guy I saw in Vietnam was a buddy of mine. We got trapped in a fight. He caught him a rocket round right in the stomach. He shoved his poncho in there and he emptied 2 clips before he keeled over dead. And the airman thought a minute and said, the toughest guy I saw in Vietnam was this full-hearted colonel. He had no brains, no guts, and no balls, and he was on active duty for over 20 years. When I heard that, I thought, I know this guy. but as my career progressed, I kept telling myself that joke and saying, Mark, don't turn into that guy. I hope I haven't. Now, I say that because not right after Greg joined us, we were working an exercise with, they call it Desert Warrior 2006, up north of Fort Bliss in the New Mexico desert. And we bought on the air warfield. They had about 4,500 troops out there, mostly combat support, combat service support. They had a battalion of infantry out there. We had 2 Canadian C-130s. I couldn't get any Air Force C-130s to play, but we went to the Marine Corps up at Carswell, and they just loved it. They said, yeah, we'll be there. We had some TACPs that we brought out of Fort Hood. We had a couple of combat controllers out of Fort Lewis. We had a Talseeker out in Travis, and we had airplanes flying all over the place. F-16s, we had some A-10s that came out and did some stuff, did shoulder force for the Army Army. We had, of course, C-130s. We had B-1 out of Dias that came, B-52s from somewhere, gas or something, all being controlled by the folks we have on the ground, including the F-117s that came out of Kirtland, I think it was. And it's the first time that Kirtland, the stealth fighters had ever worked with JTACs on the ground, and the first time the JTACs had ever worked with stealth fighters. And that operation turned out so very well that 8 months later they did it with the airplane. You know, so it's one of those things that happened. Now the story is this: they had a dirt strip. It's called Wild Benton, out in McGregor Range, about 6,000 feet, something like this. Pretty significant. It's out in the middle of the desert, and the Canadians and the Marines, this airdrops both personnel and cargo. And they just air land on there as well. And we had some medical folks out there. I brought somebody from Scott, and we were doing a simulated medevac airlift off that dirt strip. I think 2 of them went okay. And what we were doing engine running on lows from simulated patients. The soldiers were getting on, they were going flying around the flagpole and coming back. Well, on the 3rd one, it was like the last go that we had. Captain at the time, Kuzma, he was our Air Force element representative on there. They couldn't do any stretcher loads because it was just full of dust. I mean, anybody in here been to Bagram? Okay, been to Bagram? All right. That area is so much like the Bagram area is scary, except instead of moon dust, it's got regular dirt. You know, so they just walked on the back of the ramp, I guess, just came up the back of the ramp. And the Marines started up, take off, I'm gonna say, they started rolling, and on takeoff, they blew a tire. And they circled back around, the ground guy said, yeah, you're hosed up. And so, anyway, they had to burn off gas and stuff like that. And meanwhile, our young captain over here, fresh to working with us, was sitting up in the airplane. And when they did land at the Big Army Airfield, everything was okay. It was a good landing. They got all loaded, and everything worked out okay. Which tells me, told me at that time, he's got brains, guts, and whatever else is needed. All right, so it was. Now that's the time, as I hope you had the opportunity. As I went on in my career, of course, and I've been retired for almost 10 years, right? You meet young officers coming up that you really wish that you could work for, and if you haven't met those people, then you're not being honest with yourself. Greg's about the third one that I've met. It would have been a huge privilege, not just to work with him, but to work for him under his guidance and leadership. That's how much I think of him. And if you know what a loggy is, and how many loggies we got? Okay. Resident operators, listen closely. I'll talk slowly. We have to talk about that. Yeah. Basically, a logistics person, you're supposed to get the right people with the right equipment at the right place at the right time to put into effect the National Command Authority's policy. Right? And what Greg Kuzma has done is that. I presented him some last night. I called him Jedi Night Logging. And as you know, Jedi Knights, what they do magical stuff. No one has a clue how they do it. And frankly, to a lot of the Air Force, that's the way that we're viewed. How in the world did you get this to happen? It doesn't matter if he was in Djibouti. It didn't matter if he was in Kirkuk. It didn't matter if he was up in the northwestern United States and northeastern United States. It doesn't matter if he was in the Panhandle of Florida. It doesn't matter if it was a regular mission. It doesn't matter if it was an expeditionary mission. If it was a humanitarian mission. Under the term logging is his picture, right? And he's very well deserved this promotion, very well deserved. And of course, if you didn't know, I'm from Texas. You might not get on that. I traveled around the country a few years ago as a commander of the 602nd Training Group out of Keesler. And guys had asked me, and folks had asked me, well, sir, have you lived your whole life in Texas? And I tell them, no, not yet. Which is the correct answer. But there's a Texas connection here. Sam Houston, as I hope most of you have heard of, from the state of Tennessee. Texas laid claim to Sam Houston. We laid claim to another exporter from Tennessee too, Jack Daniels whiskey, but that's not exactly true everywhere. Sam Houston had said that in a letter that he had with Andrew Jackson, that he would always do what's right and risk the consequences. Do right and risk the consequences. And Greg, that's a challenge for you. I will tell you something that you need to be careful of is getting the current attitude. There's another story, got a bunch of them, but about this guy that went hunting with a friend. And his buddy had a dog named Sarge. And Sarge was just the absolute best dog. I mean, Sarge could hunt up ducks, quail, rabbits, he'd spook up the deer and things like that, raccoons, it didn't matter. Sarge was the ultimate hunting dog. And the guy hunting with him, he loved it. Next year, he's invited to go back again. And so he did. He got there at a point in time, got his gear all ready, and his buddy came in and said, hey, I'm ready to go, let's go get Sarge. His friend said, well, I don't have Sarge anymore. He said, what happened? He said, well, I had to have Sarge destroyed. He said, oh my gosh, will you get sick? He said, no. You get injured? No. He said, well, why would you destroy a wonderful product like that? He said, well, the problem was, about 3 weeks ago, another friend of mine came in. He couldn't remember his name was Sarge, and all week long he kept calling him Colonel. And all they ever did after that was sit around on his butt and bark. Avoid that part. You know this guy. If you think about what Sam Houston said, do right versus consequences. Greg, if you continue to take care of our Air Force, and you continue to take care of the mission that takes care of our nation, then all of your consequences are going to be positive. And I thank you for this opportunity.
Lieutenant Colonel Kuzma will now be promoted to the new grade of Colonel.
Of his word.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. The President of the United States, acting upon the recommendation of the Secretary of the Air Force, has placed special trust and confidence in the patriotism, integrity, and ability of Lieutenant Colonel Gregory M. Kuzma. In view of these special qualities and his demonstrated potential to serve in the next higher grade, Lieutenant Colonel Kuzma is now promoted to the permanent grade of Colonel, United States Air Force, effective the 1st of December 2018 by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Please be seated. At this time, we invite the Kuzma family to come up and help in on Colonel Kuzma's new rank. Colonel McCollum will now re-administer the oath of office.
Right hand. I state your name.
I, Gregory Earl Kuzma,
having been appointed a colonel
having been appointed a colonel
in the United States Air Force,
in the United States Air Force,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and will well and faithfully discharge
the office of the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Colonel Gregory M. Kuzma.
No barking.
First lesson. Before we break and have some cake and punch and continue to celebrate our fellowship, family and friends being here today, I would just like to recognize some people who helped make today special and make today possible. And before I start, I just want to say, if I don't recognize you, please don't take it personally. I'm going to do the best I can to recognize everybody here and those who couldn't make it that had an impact on my career. So without further ado, go ahead and get started. Got to recognize Senior Master Sergeant Melissa Bermudez. She's our project officer for today's ceremony. She's in the back. Thank you so much, Melissa, for all you did for getting this ball started several months ago and making today happen. So I want to give you a round of applause. I'd also like to recognize Captain Mahan for being our narrator, Sergeant Greg Abishan for being our proffer, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Flolo for helping with
Wherever I can.
wherever you can. And I appreciate all of you. And for those who don't know, these are my former office mates here in the Inspector General's office, and it has been a pleasure serving with all of you, and those that have come before us, and those that will come after us in the Inspector General's office. Thank you so much for making my tour here in 3 years special one. It's been really great. Thanks to you guys. How about that national anthem by Mr. Jody Manford? Probably no one knows here that we hadn't actually met until about an hour ago, and it's the power of the networking in the Army. We have a mutual Army friend who's also in Drum Corps, and it was his recommendation. He reached out to Jody and said, "Hey, why don't you help out GM?" So I go by in my civilian capacity, and we talked for a little bit, and it all worked out. And so thank you again for being here and making it, putting that personal touch on the national anthem, which I appreciate as a musician being a part of the Army band. That's what we've done in the past. So thank you. Thank you to our chaplain, Joshua Janko. It's good to see you again, chaplain, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule here at the Air Force Academy and being over here today to be a part of the ceremony. Thank you for being here. I'd like to recognize General Novak. Sir, thank you very much for being here. I know you're very busy as well, and I appreciate your mentorship and guidance when you were the vice commander here for the 302nd Airlift Wing, and the guidance that you gave me back then really helped me remember where my true north is. And so just want to say thank you for that. Thank you for being here. Also, Colonel Armor Trout, our leadership here at the 302nd as the current Vice Wing Commander. Sir, thank you for being here as well. And I appreciate your mentorship and guidance. Give me feedback as we look forward to our future assignments. And I wish the best all to you in your future career as well. I'd also like to recognize Colonel DeVere. I know he couldn't be here today. He's the wing commander, and I appreciate all the leadership and taking care of our airmen that he does ever since he got here. And I know, hopefully I get to see him in person and be able to thank him, but if you could pass that sentiment along for me, Colonel Overtrout, I appreciate that, as well as to Chief Solis. I'd like to recognize my friends and family from Ascend Performing Arts and Blue Knights organization. This is a group that I have been a part of since I was a participating member back in 1994, and I'm currently the Director of Operations. And we have a contingent here in the back, and so Mark, Jennifer, thank you for being here. Fred, I appreciate you coming on out. See, you got Neil, and White Diane, and Daryl, our board president, and Deb. Okay, Devani, thank you for taking pictures as well. Brad in the back, thank you. Tony, and CJ, Lando, Janet, and Bob, and Joanne. Everybody. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate your support, especially when sometimes my military duty takes me away from being able to do my job. This at Performing Arts and kind of helping slack when I'm barking. I'd like to give a shout out to past commanders, supervisors, chiefs, NCOICs, airmen. We have some of them here today. I'll see if I can get you guys. We got Calvin Douglas. We worked together in the Base Honor Guard at MacDill Air Force Base, and that was the year when 9/11 happened, and that was a real big deal for us because we had several teams that were actually performing funeral honors off base, and they were stuck off base for about a day and a half. And just going through that experience, being in the Honor Guard, doing things like ceremonial duties and for honoring those that have passed on, that have served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. That was a special assignment for us, and I really appreciate you being here, Calvin. Coming always. Thank you. Also, I'd like to recognize Todd Stillwell. He was my first Logie supervisor back in, I think it was 2000, working in XPL at MacDill Air Force Base. This was right before I moved over to the Honor Guard for a little while to do a little career broadening as a lieutenant. Thank you, Todd, for your guidance and mentoring me as well and getting me started on the right track, because I don't know if you remember, I was clueless when I showed up at the office. I didn't know which way was up. I didn't know how to be a Logie yet. Like Colonel Collin was saying, it was something that started with Todd. And so I just want to recognize you and thank you for coming all the way from Florida as well, right? You guys are living in Florida now, or
we're moving to Florida.
You're moving to Florida. That's you're heading back to Florida. So thank you for being here as well. Cindy, thank you for coming out here and supporting me again. And you've helped out at Drumfall in the Rockies as a volunteer, and here you are. So thank you very much for being here. Tristan and Portland, thank you very much for coming out. And you guys are coming out of Florida as well. We got a lot of Florida folks here. Thank you very much for being here. I want to recognize Colonel Gretchen Wilsey. She was my group commander at Dover Air Force Base. Colonel Shannon Juby at Officer Training School when I was working there. Colonel Will Phillips, who was my boss at McCord Air Force Base in 2010. My friends Major Frankie Grella and Lieutenant Colonel Dave Cortez for being there for me when I struggled in my career many times. Colonel McClellan, sir, thank you for not only officiating but being the boss that did the right thing by pulling me aside when I first got to our unit at the Air Force Element and straightened me out. Because I got off active duty after about 7 years, and I didn't think I wanted to do the Air Force anymore. I thought I was done. I am not doing the Air Force anymore. And then 6 months later, I realized I made a mistake. I just needed to come back and get back in the Air Force. And the active duty would not take me back. But the reserves did. And so I became an IMA and worked for Colonel McClellan. And that was a turning point for me, because that first year, that first performance report, working for Colonel McCollum was not the most stellar one that I'd ever had. And I'm not going to show it to you, because I'm not proud of that. But it was a moment where failing a little opened my eyes and realized what my potential could be and what I should be doing, and helped me start doing that. Thank you, sir. Definitely want to make sure I do not forget to recognize my family, my wife Jordan. Thank you for bearing with me as we go through our military time, and I have to go TDY sometimes and not be home. Help take care of the kids, so I just want to say thank you very much. I love you. Also like to recognize my mother, Beverly, also flying in from Florida. Thank you, Mom. Hey, sir, how you doing? I'd like to recognize my mother-in-law, Susan. Did not come from Florida, but I'm still going to recognize her anyway. Appreciate it. All right. Stepsons Finn and Soren. I guess. Coin. My points. These are not your points. Of course, I can hear it. That's all of them. Thanks, guys. Recognize my father-in-law, Pete. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Recognize my brother, Scott.
Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too, man. Same day.
So there's three things that I know I can count on that I've learned in my 20-year career. All right, does anyone want to guess what those three things are? What are three things that we can count on in our career? Death, taxes, and Air Force inspections. Right? Okay. Maybe not the Air Force inspections, although being in the Inspector General's office, we would hope that would always be something that we would hope that everyone would self-inspect. But I just want to share a quote that means a lot to me on that note. And this is from Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, "The purpose of life is not to be happy, is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have that life make some difference, and to know that you have lived and you have lived well." So all kidding aside, the three things that I really know that I can count on and that I work on is the three F's. Embrace family, find your path, try to have fun along the way, right? So embracing family, it's more than just your spouse, your children, your parents, your brother. It is also your Air Force family, your military family in general. It could be your coworkers, your family from your job, your civilian career. It could be your extended family. And as they say in my new assignment at United States Indo-Pacific Command, Ohana. Does anyone know what that word means? What is that? It means family. It means all extended family, everyone is family. And so I consider you all part of my family, okay? And that means a lot to me because family is the support structure that has helped me be the airman that I am today. I couldn't have done it. There's no way that I could have done and accomplished all the things that Colonel McCollum was talking about without you. Without you being here, without you encouraging me, without you supporting me throughout my career. And so I just want to say thank you very much for being part of my family and helping me out. The second thing was find your own path. A lot of people don't know, but I'm supposed to be a pilot in the Air Force. I'm supposed to be a pilot. Because my dad, who, the late Lieutenant Colonel Arnel Kuzma. Served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. He's a B-24 pilot, C-54, C-47, C-119, 8,500 flying hours. When I learned all about this about my father, I thought, that's who I'm going to be. I'm going to be just like Dad. I'm going to fly bombers, I'm going to fly transports, and I'm going to be just like him. So I joined the ROTC, got commissioned, I got a pilot slot, and I went to training. And I failed. I didn't finish. I struggled. It was the hardest phone call I ever had to make. But when I picked up the phone and I called my dad, Father's Day week, I had to tell him what happened. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't get through pilot training. I had too much going on, too many distractions, whatever the excuse was, I was telling my dad. And he said, you know what? I don't care about that. All I care is that you took that leap and you went for it. And then he said, really, why did you even join the Air Force? Why did you even join? And I thought, oh, I was going to fly planes. I was going to be just like you. And he said, no, you need to be like you and find your own path and figure out what you need to do. And so I became a loggie. I went to McDill. I learned from Todd Stovall, Calvin Douglas, and everyone else in here. At some point in my career, our paths crossed. In 2006, at the Air Force element, working for the Army, I learned my own path, and it had nothing to do with flying. I didn't fly any air. Oh, I flew the T-37 10 hours, and that was about it. But that's not what the reason was for me to join. I joined because I wanted to serve the Air Force, and I wanted to serve my country. And so it took failing again to realize this is what I need to do, not try to be somebody else. I know my dad, he was my hero, and I wanted to be like him, but I knew I couldn't be just like him. I had to figure out, I had to find my own person, I had to find my own voice. Right? Right, Tyler? So the third thing is, and the final thing, is try to have fun along the way. And this is something I'm still working on. I'm not the most jovial person. I don't joke all the time. Sometimes I can get accused of being too serious sometimes, okay? I'm guilty as charged. But I am trying to have fun along the way. I'm trying to bark less, trying to sit on my butt and do those things, and I won't do them. I will accept your challenge.
Yeah, you will.
And not be that carnal, right? But part of having fun and part of being serious is finding that middle ground, finding that balance. And one thing that I recall from John Novak's promotion ceremony was lifting up everyone in the harbor, raising all the boats in the harbor, because one person can't do it all. I'll tell you right now. If you think you're going to join the military or you're going to be a teacher in high school, you can't do it by yourself, right? You need to have a team. You need to have the family support system. And you need to find your own path and figure out how you can get there the best way possible. And you got to try to have fun along the way. But raising everyone up around you is more fun than trying to go at it alone. And that's really what I'm trying to get at with that. And so, once again, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules. And whether you're a proud citizen in the United States, working for a performing arts nonprofit, or you're an airman, or you're a soldier, you're a Marine, or you're a sailor, or maybe the soon-to-be Space Force person, whatever that we're going to call that. Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate your service. And let's eat cake.
On behalf of our Kuzma family, we thank you for your attendance, and please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the Department official party.
USA, nothing can stop the U.S. airflow.